Welcome to World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm Diana Skaya. Georgian organized crime groups are reportedly making a dangerous return to Poland using brutal tactics that echo the crime wave of the 1990s. Now, experts are sounding the alarm, urging swift action from law enforcement. Now, to discuss this growing threat and its implications, I'm happy to welcome Katarzyna Maniszewska, PhD at the Collegium Civitas, to the program. Katarzyna, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. Wow, so this is really news that's erupting here in Poland. These Georgian gangs that are apparently the largest gangs to be taking a wave here in Poland, and this since the 1990s. Katarzyna, first, can you tell us what are some of the biggest incidents relating to these Georgian gangs that have erupted in the countries? I mean, how are they taking advantage of the system? How is this possible?
Sure. So first of all, your specialized gangs, the Georgian gangs we're talking about today, are specialized in thefts, robberies, so violent type of crimes. However, and this I have to underline from the very beginning, there is a large Georgian community here in Poland, and we are talking here only about a fraction of Georgian citizens that migrated here and are engaged in criminal activities. Those gangs very often date back to the times, even the Soviet times. And they do have sometimes also links with, with Russian Federation. They are also being exploited by the Russian Federation to destabilize Western countries. So this is not only about criminal gain as such. We must remember, especially today when we are facing the hybrid warfare, actually, and hybrid threats from Russia, that organized crime also is a tool of this broader hybrid warfare efforts by the Russian Federation. So this issue has to be tackled systemically, I would say. Of course, law enforcement, police, Polish police, which is actually quite effectively addressing these threats, despite the statistics that we mentioned at the beginning. The police needs investments, of course. And I think actually yesterday I heard our Minister for Interior Affairs speaking about exactly this matter, that he understands and the government realizes that more efforts, more resources must be allocated to the police in order for them to address the challenge more efficiently. But at the very same time, it requires international cooperation. It acquires this systemic approach. And I think seeing organized crime as a part of the bigger problem, bigger geopolitical problem, I would say.
Is law enforcement, or Polish authorities, like you said, are they able to flag these incoming? We know that the Georgians, they were able to enter the country on visa-free, right? And but what can Poland do to kind of flag these people, or the Georgians, or other similar gangs that are coming into the country in order to try to avoid this? And another question to you right away, I'll ask you, do you think that deportation would be an effective tactic in this case?
So first of all, of course, organized crimes, but also other type of criminal ventures, let's say, they exploit legal loopholes. And this is one of these cases.
Like what, for instance?
Exactly this, that we do have a visa waiver for Georgian citizens up to 90 days. So, of course, the vast majority, and again, I have to underline that, the vast majority of Georgian community or tourists or students are lawful and law-abiding citizens, as simple as that. But still, those mechanisms are being exploited also by criminals. And I'm actually here for zero tolerance policy, and yes, deportations. So if someone violates law in a given country, they shouldn't be allowed to re-enter for a certain period of time, not only to Poland, but to the whole Schengen area. And here again, the international cooperation is absolutely fundamental here. We are speaking not only about Poland, which is being used as kind of a hub or entry country, also to further criminal operations in other European Union countries. So we are being very often in our history, we are being at the forefront of security challenges here in Poland. And this also is one of these cases. So efforts here internally in Poland, but also enhanced international cooperation also with Georgia. And we know that due to the political instabilities, this also is challenging.
Katarzyna, let me ask you this. I mean, earlier on, you mentioned you mentioned this link that they may be related to Russia. Are there any examples that you can tell us of incidents that came out where they were, caught by Polish authorities, and it resulted in, in Russian criminal activities that had hired these Georgians for gang-related
There are
purposes?
allegations, let's say, but we know, like dating back historically, also the region, there are two specific regions in Georgia that are being, and we know that they are being exploited also by Russians, and I'm referring here to South Ossetia and Abkhazia. And we know that those territories became the de facto Russian-occupied territories, safe havens for all sorts of criminal activities. And we know that, again, dating back and looking at the history of organized crime in Georgia, they were pretty strong in this during Soviet time movement of, it was called Vory v Zakonie, and these criminals, they had links also to secret services of Russia, and were exploited sometimes as agents of influence, let's say, by then Soviet Union, now the Russian Federation. So no, I'm not able to give you concrete examples now and proofs, but this is something that we should be having in the back of our heads, that we are talking here not only about organized crime as such. Security threats are deeply interconnected, and destabilization is being political, economic destabilization is being exploited by state actors as well. And here, in this particular case of Georgia, we must, I think, be aware of the fact that this avenue can also be exploited by the Russian Federation. Hence, reinforced efforts and, again, international cooperation in order to more effectively counter.
What other policy changes would you say would be needed to be able to stop this from spreading even further in the country?
I would say that, we really need an increased discussion on migration. I know that migration is the topic, let's say, in the European Union, but we, I think, need to look more holistically at the issue of migration, not to overlook not only let's say, potential terrorism cases, but also organized crimes, which are, by the way, deeply interconnected with terrorism, and terrorism often funds itself on organized crime activities. So this is one point, and then really legal solutions should be also implemented, and not only in Poland, because we cannot abstract Poland from the whole international environment.
So you're saying that Europe should also
exactly.
work
I would
jointly.
say the Schengen area is here of absolutely fundamental importance, and then also, again, increased cooperation with Georgia. And I know it is challenging these days, but still we need to try. So this system should be built on several pillars. European Union, of course, but also countries in the region. We know that Georgia is also a transit hub for instance, drug trafficking.
Yes.
Right? So, and I guess that Georgian government should also be interested in tackling this challenge effectively. So perhaps there are some, common interests that we could build an increased cooperation on.
Thank you so much, Katarzyna Maniszewska, for breaking it down for us, and definitely an interesting topic to keep our eyes open on.
Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.